Hey up everyone, if you enjoyed the video let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button and click on the icon to subscribe. It costs nothing and helps the channel a lot, and it means that you get to find out first when our latest videos are released. The Honda XL600V and the later 650 are just workhorses, a bike that will happily travel across continents and take you there in comfort. The engine has Honda's legendary reliability, and it's a relatively simple bike to work on too. I know in America it's a different story, but in Europe these bikes sold so well there are still plenty on the market, and the mileage is all a bit irrelevant. I've seen examples of this bike that have done almost 200,000 miles and are still chugging along happily. Moving on, we have the now fabled Honda CT125 Trail, another exceptional motorcycle fit for both off-road adventures and urban exploring. There are occasionally odd bikes that come to the UK, but this is one we sadly missed out on. Practical and strong, the CT125 Trail guarantees a smile, wherever, whenever you're riding. The 125 Trail is lightweight and manoeuvrable, allowing riders to take on terrain they might otherwise not dare to, whether you're climbing rough trails or weaving through busy city traffic. Its sprightly design makes it all easy. Powered by a bomb-proof 125cc overhead cam 2-valve 4-stroke engine, the Honda CT125 Trail delivers its jaw-dropping 9 horsepower to the back wheel via a 4-speed semi-automatic gearbox that uses a centrifugal clutch similar to the old Honda Cub. It can tackle remarkably challenging off-road conditions with its incredible 6.5 inches of ground clearance too. The CT125's engine provides a great balance of power and efficiency, allowing you to tackle rough terrain while sipping less fuel than a camel in the desert, around 95 miles to the gallon in general. It also gives you a comfortable riding position that ensures an enjoyable ride, and the suspension will handle more than you might imagine. Tyres, shopping, camping gear, beer, you name it, and someone has probably used the CT125 to carry it at some point. Practicality is key with the CT125. It's a small, lightweight and practical motorcycle that can punch well above its weight when tackling off-road trails. The legendary Honda C50, C70 and C90. The Honda Cub is the best-selling motorcycle of all time. The C90 was the bigger brother of the family, but even the humble C50 is an iconic bike. It carried workers to factories, families to farms, and everything else you could imagine, all over the world. I've seen C90s loaded up too high with straw bales, towing a trailer behind that's equally loaded, and they still just seem to chug along without a care in the world. Simple to ride and simple to work on, they will do endless miles on a thimble full of fuel, and will still run even if there's only a cup full of sticky, messy sludge for oil. It will be hard for any bike to ever compete with the reliability and durability of the humble Honda Cub. You can see here the fun people still have on them today. Now, a whole generation of us grew up with the various incarnations of the CB250, and it had proven itself a winner. However, when the 250 Super Dream was released, it was a disappointment for some people. It seemed to move away from the small, lightweight race bike heritage that Honda were known for. It was big for a 250, and it looked great, but for many, it lacked the power needed for the weight. Despite this, it was still a great seller for Honda. The 400 Super Dream made the package make much more sense. It gave the bike that performance missing in the 250. Although it lacked power compared to the big 4-cylinder bikes of the day, it had more than enough to keep you entertained. It could happily cruise at speeds well past the legal limit, and it was easy to throw around through the twisties than its bigger brothers. Although it might not have seemed so different at the time, there were over 50 changes just within the engine compared to the previous 400 Dream Twin. It also got the twin disc front end from the CX500, and its relatively lightweight compared to the CX500 and the Big Fours made it very nimble in comparison. There is a whole other, newer part of the Honda Twin family tree that can be traced back to these utilitarian but dependable bikes, but we will have to leave that for another day. They were a great bike, with a fantastic engine that just loved to be revved. There weren't as many 400s registered as the multitude of 250 Super Dreams, but they weren't so brutalised by young riders either, so when they do come up for sale, in general, they have been looked after better than most of the 250s have. It might take time for you to find a good example, but they are a great bike, much better than many people give them credit for. The next motorcycle on the list is without doubt the most copied motorcycle ever made. That is, for a really good reason. The Honda CG125 is the epitome of Honda's legendary reliability. The simple single-cylinder 125cc engine comes in a low state of tune and will go on forever. The early models had enclosed chain cases too to reduce maintenance, and that was just one of the obvious design tweaks. The single-cylinder overhead valve engine was bulletproof and will literally run on anything that's even slightly combustible, which is one of the reasons it was loved by so many countries with poor fuel quality. Maintenance is easy, and even more complicated jobs become easier because the bike was designed to be maintained in your backyard with a spanner, a hammer and a screwdriver, in a way that many modern bikes just aren't. The CB700SC was one of those happy accidents in the industry. It was originally developed as a 750, but when the US increased import tariffs on bikes of 750cc and over, the engineers decided rather than simply sleeve the barrels down as most did, that they would redesign the crank to give it a shorter stroke instead. That decision was a masterstroke. Although slightly down on power compared to the 750, the over-square engine revved like no other 750 available at the time, giving it fantastic acceleration. The engine will quickly pass the 10,000 RPM road line in most gears, and sounds like a VFR 400 on steroids. I have one, and I love my Nighthawk S dearly. It's one of the most low maintenance bikes I have ever owned. The Navi is a bite-sized motorcycle about the same size as the better known Honda Grom. Its lightweight frame makes it incredibly manoeuvrable. Add a CVT transmission for an easy twist and go ride, and you have one of the easiest bikes you could ever ride. They only weigh 106 kilos or 234 pounds, and you even get a set of pillion pegs and a comfy seat for two. Powered by a simple 110cc overhead cam 2-valve 4-stroke engine with a 9.5 to 1 compression ratio, the Honda Navi delivers a massive 8 horsepower and will take you up to a maximum speed of around 55 miles an hour. It does have remarkably responsive acceleration with the CVT gearbox, making it quick off the line and perfectly capable of keeping up with city traffic. All this while giving you fuel economy of around 110 miles per gallon. So the Navi is not only fun to ride, but it's also cheap to run. We have the various VF750 models, including the Interceptor, Magna and Sabre. These three bikes were related by an engine, but they have little else in common. The Interceptor was a pure sport bike, and early models did suffer from camshafts made of cheese, but this was fixed and the later models were well and truly groundbreaking. They are the bikes that led to the V4 MotoGP engines of today. The Magna was aimed at the US custom market and was also available in the bigger 1100 V65 version. The 750 was also updated later as the Super Magna, which had to have one of the best looking exhaust systems ever fitted to a standard bike. The Sabre was a more brutal looking bike. It drew more on design cues from the bikes made for the European market. The shaft drive was the same one used on the Nighthawk S, and was so over-engineered it was all but indestructible. The bike also came with an aircraft console as a dashboard like nothing anyone had ever seen before or since. It just wasn't that commercially successful. All three of these bikes were simply better in almost every way than the bikes that had come before them. The Honda XL250 is another bike that's been copied a lot. It has the advantage of more power than the CG125, but it also had better suspension. They will take you pretty much anywhere off the beaten track you could ever want to go, even now. Maintenance is easy, parts are cheap, and they will run for years without problems as long as you change the oil regularly. Keep the oil fresh and they will go on forever. This bike was called a tractor even when it was made, and it will never win any speed competitions. But it is another very low maintenance bike with a reputation for serious bomb-proof reliability. Last, but definitely not least, was the mighty range-topping CB1100R, a limited edition homologation special made famous by people like Joey Dunlop and Ron Haslam. A real endurance race bike that you could buy from the showroom floor if you had the money. You'll be hard pressed to find one of these at a bargain price now, but I had to mention them anyway. I hope you've enjoyed this video and can take the time to look around the channel to watch some of the others you will find. If you got this far and haven't already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing helps us a lot, and it will mean that you get to find out first when our regular updates, news, views and other videos go out. Please share the video with anyone you think will be interested too if you could. It all helps kick the YouTube algorithm into gear and gets the channel out there to new potential viewers. There are more exciting motorcycle adventures and other stories from the shed and beyond on the website. Thanks for watching. I hope you get some great riding in. And remember, keep your spanners close and your keys even closer. Ride free, everyone!